Screech by TarynMcT. Read by Oakshadow5. Chapter 23. Hitoshi was in the backseat of the car, cutting his fingers through Izuku's hair as he lay curled up in Hitoshi's lap. His brother had gotten almost no sleep the past few days, his sleep full of nightmares. The attack on the city had been on Wednesday night, and the only reason that he hadn't come home that day was because Izuku didn't want to cut Hitoshi's internship short, and he swore he'd be okay. Izuku would start out the early morning hours cuddling with either Hitoshi or Dad, but by the time they woke up, Izuku would have migrated to the motel's roof. Not even cuddling with Dad could rid Izuku of his nightmares. Izuku had eye bags that were almost as Gucci as his and Dad's, and with Izuku being an owl and used to little sleep, that was really indicative of his condition. Hitoshi really didn't want to wake up Izuku. He seemed to be sleeping peacefully for the first time since the attack, but they were almost home. Hopefully Papa would be able to help Izuku sleep, and if not, then Auntie Nem definitely would. As they turned the final corner and the apartment building came into view, Hitoshi gently nudged Izuku. "Hey there, Pup Rain. Time to wake up. We're home." Izuku tightened his hold on Hitoshi and shook his head. "I'm going to leave you in the car, Suku," Hitoshi warned. Izuku complained breathlessly. Dad parked the car and looked back at them. "If you carry him inside, I'll grab all the bags," he suggested. Hitoshi huffed in annoyance. "You are so lucky you barely weigh anything," Hitoshi said, as he got a good grip on Izuku and got out of the car. Hitoshi was feeling the urge to be a little bit petty, so he decided to let Izuku continue sleeping all the way up to the apartment, and even once he got inside and kicked off his shoes. Hitoshi let him sleep all the way up until he dropped him, right on Kaminari's lap. Izuku jolted awake from the sudden drop with a surprised squawk and looked around. His eyes met up with Kaminari's and he hooted before wrapping his arms around him and burying his face in Kaminari's chest. "I didn't think you'd still be here," he mumbled into his chest. Kaminari wrapped his arms around Izuku. "Of course I'd still be here. Internships aren't officially over until tomorrow, so I'm staying the night." Kaminari started playing with Izuku's hair. "Besides, I've heard you had a bad few days, and I told you I'd be here for you, so if you want to talk, or just snuggle, I'm here." Hitoshi heard Izuku hoot quietly, and then decided to give them privacy. He picked up his bag from where Dad had dropped it and wandered back to his room. He also had a boyfriend to talk to. Denki smelled nice, like thunderstorms, a unique mix of fresh rain and lightning. Izuku had always loved the smell of a thunderstorm, and would always open his window to let in the smell or fly to the roof to enjoy it. He nuzzled further into Denki's hold and sighed in contentment. "How was your internship, Denki?" Izuku asked. "Mine was a little too exciting to talk about tonight, but I want to hear about yours." Denki ran his fingers through Izuku's hair. "It was great," he answered. "I'm so glad you talked me into going with Mike-sensei. I learned so much. And he gave me these books on electricity. There was so much in there I didn't know before. Like, did you know that using a higher voltage doesn't necessarily mean more power?" "Oh?" Izuku tilted his head up, so he was still leaning against Denki, but now looking at him. "Tell me all about it." They spent the next hour like that. Izuku snuggled on Denki's lap, while the blonde talked all about the things he learned over the course of the past week, Izuku breathing in Denki's unique thunderstorm scent, and listening to him talk excitedly about electricity. As Izuku buried his head more into Denki's chest, before he felt himself drifting off to sleep, he couldn't help but to think, "I don't know why Dad complains about loud blondes so much. I really like mine." "So, today we will see just how much you learned in your internships," Ahmed cut out to the gathered students. "We will be running a race, but not just any race, no, a rescue race. Grand Gamma here is the perfect setting for this race." Ahmed gestured to the fake city behind him. "I will be situated somewhere within, and you will be tasked to locate me." The students muttered to themselves excitedly, but no one was willing to use the word fun. They had been traumatized enough by Aizawa, thanks. Izuku was bouncing on the balls of his feet as Ahmed separated the students into groups, based solely on their mobility levels, and then took off into the city to wait for his rescue. Izuku's group was comprised of himself, Hitoshi, Sero, and Shoto. If he flew, he'd win the race, no question, but Izuku wanted to see how he'd fare if he ran it without flying. He was sure he'd lose, but by how big of a margin? He looked at the others he'd be running this race with. He couldn't use Hitoshi to get anywhere faster. His scarf was a great mobility aid, but he kept it with him, the same way Shoto did. But Sero, he'd be leaving bits of tape everywhere. Maybe Izuku could use his tape to help him? And Shoto would likely create frozen pathways. Izuku could likely follow those. With a firm plan in mind, Izuku took his place at the starting line. As soon as the electronic buzzer signaled the start of the race, all 4 teams took off, Hitoshi very quickly taking the lead with Zero hot on his heels. Hitoshi risked a glance back and noticed Izuku skillfully running along the pipes of the cityscape, occasionally swinging off of the tape that Zero had left behind, or sliding on the ice that Shota created, but never once did he pull out his wings. Turning his attention back to the race, he realized that Izuku was simply challenging himself. He was an expert at stealth, and unless he was up against that, he could easily evade and escape if needed. They had talked well during the internship about how Izuku wanted to work on his quirkless abilities, and it seemed as though he was doing that now. He wondered if Izuku would use his wings if he slipped, or if he'd just accept an injury as a learning experience. Hitoshi mentally shrugged and continued on with the race. It didn't take long for him to get to the finish line, getting first place, with Zero barely 5 seconds behind him. Shoto was another 10 seconds behind Zero, and Izuku pulled up the rear a mere 3 seconds after Shoto. The 4 teams finished within 20 seconds of each other. "Mido bro, are you feeling okay?" Zero asked. Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" Izuku told a sudden confusion. "You didn't fly? You could have destroyed us here with next to no effort," he exclaimed. "Why didn't you?" Izuku grinned and shrugged. "Where's the change in that?" Hitoshi laughed and pushed Izuku toward the railing. "Brat." Mitsuno-ku was in the hospital. She was covered in third-degree burns, and she had a few broken ribs. According to the doctor, some of the burns on her face were going to scar. Ko couldn't stop the tears from falling if she tried. All she had done was try to cheer her up and maybe befriend the boy who had transferred into her class. Ko had heard that Bakugo had been expelled from UA in his first week, so of course he'd be unhappy with being in Aldera High School, but it had been a few weeks and he was still snapping at all of their classmates. He was angry and bitter, and Ko wanted to help. Her quirk was called Balloon Animal, and it enabled her to be able to create balloons and fill them with helium from the empty holes in her palms. She was planning to pursue a career with kids, maybe as a clown or for a party company, something like that, but today she had wanted to cheer up her classmate. She had made him a cute little Pomeranian balloon dog, hoping to get maybe a smile or a laugh. Instead, she got a face full of explosions. Suspended for 1 week. This is the first time he'd ever been suspended. No one had ever had the balls to suspend him before. What was different this time? I hurt her, Katsuki thought to himself. And he had hurt her. He saw the burns. He knew how hard he had punched her. He had heard her ribs crack. But it's not like he'd never done that before. She wasn't the first classmate he'd hurt, and she probably wouldn't be the last. So, what the fuck was the problem? Katsuki let explosion fill his hands, and the release felt so good. Besides, they extra deserved it. She was looking down on me. And she was. Why the fuck else would she give him some stupid balloon? And with that stupid look on her face too. She was pitying him. Well, he showed her. Katsuki threw an explosion at the wall, leaving a dent in the specially fortified metal walls his room was made of. He grinned fairly at the dent in the wall and added another. He had destroyed that stupid ass dog thing, then beat the ever-loving shit out of her. Fucking extra, that'll teach her not to look down on him again. A hero shouldn't do that, he thought, the voice in his head sounding a lot like Deku. Katsuki growled at that and let his sweat build up in his palms, not exploding. Not only was Deku sitting smugly, tucked away all nice and happy at UA, after having stolen Katsuki's dream, now he's pushing his stupid-ass voice into Katsuki's head. With the excessive amount of sweat on his hands, Katsuki aimed another explosion at the wall, this time punching a hole in the wall, right through all the specially built fortifications. Well, the joke's on him. I can't be a hero anymore. He's been blacklisted from every single hero school in the country. I can still be a hero, came that Deku-sounding motherfucking voice again, causing Katsuki to pause on his rampage. Yeah, there were vocational programs. Katsuki could enroll in one of those, but the heroes who came from those programs were lucky to ever see the triple digits in the rankings. Katsuki was supposed to be number 1. He was supposed to be the top hero in the country, showing the world just how amazing he really was. But now, I never will be a hero, and it's all Deku's fault. Katsuki heard the doorbell ring, but whoever it was didn't matter to him. He just blasted another wall apart, this time in the hallway, and nowhere near as heavily fortified, so it crumbled instantly. After a few moments, there were 2 police officers who walked up the stairs to confront him, with his palms still smoking, his parents behind them, both looking terrified. Why are they so scared? The confusion was enough of a distraction for the officers to get cuffs on Katsuki, cancelling his quirk instantly, and he could see the relief visibly spreading on his parents. What? Were they scared of him? You stupid ass bitch! You really called the fucking cops on me? He shrieked at his mom. What the actual fuck, hack? That's no way to speak to your mother, his dad exclaimed, trying to sound stern, but the underlying fear made his voice waver. As Katsuki was dragged out of the house, he saw most of the neighbors standing outside their homes, watching as he was humiliated yet again. This chapter was something. I mean, the part with Bakugo, seeing his justification of hurting someone, he's getting thrown into custody because he destroyed his home and endangered like all the people in that apartment building. But also, this is the 17-month anniversary of me making podfics. So as always, thank you all for listening, and I hope you continue to enjoy my podfics. Bye!